A beautiful day to you, and it's a pleasure to have you join us. Nigeria could be on the verge of the most significant security reform since independence. After decades of debate, political disagreements, constitutional roadblocks, and repeated calls from governors, traditional rulers, security experts, and civil society groups, the question of state police has finally reached a decisive stage. All eyes are on the National Assembly as lawmakers prepare to vote on a constitutional amendment that could fundamentally transform how security is managed across Africa's most populous nation.
Of our administration's strategy to reorganize Nigeria's security architecture to better protect our citizens, and I am confident that the Senate will act quickly to consider and pass this bill.
At the center of this historic moment is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whose administration has formally transmitted the State Police Bill to the National Assembly. The proposal seeks to amend the 1999 Constitution and create a legal framework for state-controlled police services operating alongside the existing Nigerian police force. If approved, the legislation would represent one of the most far-reaching changes of Nigeria's security architecture in modern history, shifting the country away from its highly centralized policing structure towards a more decentralized system where states play a direct role in maintaining law and order. The significance of this proposal cannot be overstated. For years, Nigeria has battled terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, farmer-herder conflicts, armed robbery, communal violence, and organized criminal networks that often exploit the weaknesses of a centralized security system. Communities affected by insecurity have repeatedly complained about delayed responses, poor intelligence gathering, inadequate manpower, and a lack of local knowledge among security personnel deployed from distant locations. Supporters of state police argue that local officers familiar with their communities, languages, culture, terrain, and security dynamics would be far better positioned to detect threats early and respond effectively. This argument has gained momentum as insecurity continues to challenge various parts of the country, from kidnappings in the northwest to attacks on farming communities in the Middle Belt and criminal activities in parts of the south. Many Nigerians have increasingly questioned whether a single centrally controlled police structure can adequately serve a country of over 200 million people with vast geographical, cultural, and security differences. To advocate for the state police, decentralization is no longer an option but a necessity. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, appears to share the view that the moment is historic. In urging senators to attend the vote, he described the proposed amendment as a landmark reform capable of reshaping Nigeria's security future. According to him, the country has avoided decentralizing policing since independence, making the current effort one of the most consequential constitutional debates in decades. His appeal reflects the importance of securing the required legislative support because constitutional amendments demand significant majorities before they can become law. Support for state police is also growing among governors who have long argued that they carry responsibility for security without posing corresponding authority. Although governors are commonly described as chief security officers of their state, they currently have limited direct control over police operations because the Nigeria Police Force remains under federal command. Many state governments believe this arrangement creates a gap between responsibility and authority. They argue that when insecurity escalates, citizens blame governors despite the fact that operational control often rests elsewhere. Security experts have offered strong arguments in favor of decentralization. Retired military officers and former senior police officials point out that local policing can improve intelligence gathering, enhance community trust, and create faster responses to emerging threats. They believe state police could become more proactive, relying on local information networks and community engagement rather than waiting for directives from distant command centers. In a country where security threats can evolve rapidly, supporters argue that speed and local knowledge could make a significant difference. However, the proposal is not without controversy. Critics warn that state police could become tools of political intimidation if adequate safeguards are not established. Their concern is straightforward. In a political environment where power is often fiercely contested, governors could potentially use state police to harass opponents, silence critics, or influence local political processes. These fears explain why many security experts insist that decentralization must be accompanied by strong oversight mechanisms, independent monitoring institutions, and constitutional protections designed to prevent abuse. The debate therefore goes beyond security alone. It is also a debate about democracy, about accountability, federalism, and the balance of power between different levels of government. While supporters focus on efficiency and local responsiveness, critics emphasize the need for checks and balances. Both sides agree on the point. Security is too important to be left vulnerable to political manipulation. What makes the current proposal particularly significant is that it appears to enjoy stronger political backing than previous attempts. Earlier efforts to establish state police often collapsed due to fear of abuse, lack of consensus, or constitutional obstacles. This time, however, growing public concern over insecurity has created new momentum. The perception that existing structures are struggling to address complex security challenges has increased support for alternative approaches. Even if the Senate approves the amendment, the process will not end there. Constitutional changes require approval by the House of Representatives and ratification by at least 24 state houses of assembly before they become law. Nevertheless, today's vote is widely viewed as a critical step that could determine whether Nigeria finally embraces one of the most debated security reforms in its history. As lawmakers prepare to cast their votes, Nigerians are watching closely. For supporters, state police represents hope for safer communities, stronger local security, and quicker responses to crime. For critics, it represents a reform that must be carefully designed to avoid creating new problems while attempting to solve existing ones. Whatever the outcome, one thing is certain: Nigeria stands at a crossroads. The decision made by lawmakers could redefine the country's security landscape for generations to come. Whether state police ultimately becomes a solution to Nigeria's security challenges or simply the beginning of another national debate, history may well remember this moment as a turning point in the country's search for lasting peace and security. For more updates and in-depth analysis, stay with us on News Express. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I am Cassie Tony, and many thanks for watching.